You're listening to Big World Network.
Amazing Grace, Episode 1. Written by James Helvig, read by Megan Hedin. Smoke rises from the burning cigarette in Tammy's hand. The half-empty bottle of whiskey hangs loosely in the other. Her bloodshot eyes lock onto the .45 caliber pistol lying in her lap. Unregistered tears run slowly down her face. Taking a large drink and dropping the spent butt into the bottle, she brings it to eye level, watching the extinguished smoke swirling inside the glass. On the wall in her line of sight are the awards. 15 years of military service. Her blue eyes lock onto the latest edition, the Distinguished Service Cross. Angry, Major Tammy Fuller flings the bottle at the wall, smashing it and knocking plaques to the floor. Unsteadily gaining her feet, pistol now clutched in her right hand, her left absent-mindedly rubs the scar tissue below her left breast. It's just the newest edition. The physical she stoically ignores. It's the pain inside that's tearing her apart. Sinking to her knees, the past replays in her mind. The mission was 3 years ago. Neutralize a high-priority target, a terrorist. Would have been simple, except no one knew the scumbag was a pedophile that kept a small harem with him at all times. Her team entered from the rooftop while another rushed in from below. The building was wired not just with the standard high explosives, but rather with a tactical nuke, a weapon this group intended to use on an American city. The maniac in question intended to detonate the device and martyr himself, killing her team and the 500,000 inhabitants of the Pakistani city he was hiding in. Cornered, using a 6-year-old child as a shield, the terrorist had frantically backpedaled toward the detonator. There had been no choice. The crazed man was too close to the trigger. Wounding him might have allowed detonation. Tammy had to stop him. She could picture it all as if it were happening now. In slow motion, the first 2 shots tear through the tiny body, entering the man's chest. Her third shot enters the top of his head as his body crumbles forward from the impact. The STAC team members expertly move in behind her, securing the room and the device before disabling and collecting it. Tammy hears the reports coming in and gives the curt, crisp orders needed. The eyes of the lifeless child seem to follow her. In the after-action review, her quick decision was praised and credited for the success of the mission both by her superiors and her peers. The child still haunts her dreams. 1,000 times she's replayed it. The math was correct. 1 life for many. Abused and tortured, Tammy had ended that torment, and yet she'd failed. She hadn't saved the child. No matter the reasoning or the logic, she'd taken that girl's little life. A sob escapes Tammy as she viciously chokes it back, whispering aloud, "Fuck it." Raising the pistol and placing the muzzle under her chin, Tammy straightens her shoulders and takes a shaky breath. "Be with you in a minute, kid." About to take the slack out of the trigger, there's a banging on the door, followed by the voice of a terrified little girl bellowing, "Help! Miss Tammy, please help!" Shuddering, squeezing her eyes shut and expelling a breath, Tammy lets the pistol drop to her side, muttering, "Shit." Levering herself upright, she shouts to the door, "Coming!" Barefoot and dressed in sweats and a t-shirt, Tammy detours to the kitchen in the tiny apartment, dumping the gun atop the refrigerator and snatching herself from the counter before stomping back to jerk open the door. The curly-haired girl's tear-streaked face is defined with a mixture of anguish and relief. Her name is Anna, and she frequently spends time with her grandmother down the hall. "Hurry! It's Nana! She fell and has bad hurts!" Grabbing Tammy's hand, Anna leads her down the corridor. Quickly coming to the stairwell, Anna points downward, her little mouth trembling in fright. "There!" she shouts. A low moaning is coming from the crumbled form below. Dialing 911 and hitting send, Tammy starts down the stairs, telling Anna to stay put. The staircase is well worn, but in good repair. As she reaches the elderly woman, the emergency services operator answers the call. 911, please state your emergency. Years of combat medical training make Tammy's responses clipped and toneless, her hands checking for fractures and other damage. "I need an ambulance at 1677 Terrace Heights, Apartment C, 2nd floor. I have an elderly woman, semi-conscious, multiple fractures from falling down the stairs. Stand by." There is blood pooling under a leg that's bent nearly under the injured body. Closer inspection reveals a compound break just below the knee. In Tammy's ear, a tiny voice responds, "Help is on the way, ma'am. Please stay on the line." A spasm shudders through the body, jerking the torso and flexing the jagged edge of bone. The bleeding immediately worsens. "Damn it!" Tammy curses as she gently rolls the woman to one side, freeing the leg. "Tell your people to step on it. I've got a compound with arterial bleeding here. Gonna be busy. I'm putting the phone down." Dropping the phone, Tammy hears Anna sob from the upper landing. Sweat beads on her forehead, the lightheaded buzz of the alcohol quickly fading. Pulling her t-shirt off, she rummages through the contents of the woman's handbag, finding a nail file and a hairbrush. Without turning, she calls to Anna. "Anna, I want you to carefully come down here. Your Nana's going to be okay, but I need your help." Hearing the tiny footfalls on the treads, Tammy uses the nail file to rip her t-shirt into strips, applying one as a tourniquet and using the brush to quickly twist it until the bleeding stops. The sniffling little girl stands behind her. "Anna, I need you to go to the bottom floor and wait for the police and ambulance people. Don't go outside. When they get here, show them where we are. Can you do that?" Looking over her shoulder, Tammy says softly, "Anna, it's going to be okay. Go now." Voice quivering, Anna nods and answers, "'Kay, I'll bring them." Turning her attention back to the hapless woman, Tammy mutters, "Good girl." Using another strip to secure the makeshift dressing, she hears sirens in the distance. The mid-morning hour has the building largely deserted. Never a crowd when you need one. This should have been for me. Shaking the bleak thought away, Tammy checks the vital signs. Pulse steady and respiration okay. The woman grimaces, her eyes blinking slowly and looking about unfocused. Concussion. What the hell is her name again? Aloud, Tammy tells her, "Try not to move. Help is on the way." A groan and the hazel eyes lock on hers. "Anna?" she asks. "Your granddaughter is fine. Be still. Do you remember your name? 'Cause I sure as hell don't." Sliding her arm slowly forward, grasping Tammy's arm above the wrist weakly, she replies, "Brenda. We've met. Please, take care of Anna. Her mother is—" Voice wavering, her eyes flutter, and she passes out. "Shit, Brenda, stay with me here." Tammy rechecks her vitals. Below is the noise of the EMS crew arriving. She can hear Anna yelling, "Over here!" The banging of equipment and the pounding of feet resound off the walls. 2 young men and a woman in medical garb ascend with an assortment of gear. A policeman carries Anna. To their credit, they barely acknowledge Tammy's partial nudity due to removing her shirt, handing her a blanket and getting right to work. Retreating up the stairs to give them room, Tammy quickly updates them on Brenda's status. In moments, they are readying Brenda for transport. Tugging the blanket closed, Tammy watches as the police officer steps closer. Anna reaches her arms out, wanting Tammy to hold her. Startled, she accepts, settling the child on her hip and noticing the frown forming on the officer's face when he smells alcohol on her. "Ma'am, what is your relationship with the young lady?" he asks. "I'm just a neighbor," Tammy replies. "Do you know if there are any other family members we can contact?" Sighing and absently stroking Anna's hair, she shakes her head negatively. "I really don't know them very well. Give me a minute and I'll meet you at the hospital." Noticing the rising objection, she adds, "I won't be driving." Anna has started to fidget. "Look, we'll figure this out there, all right? If you can keep an eye on the girl for 2 minutes and let me change and make a call," Tammy snaps. "Yes, ma'am," young man replies with a small grin. Spinning and storming down the hall, she tells Anna, "Come on, let's get cleaned up and go see your grandma, okay?" Wrapping her arms tighter around Tammy's neck, Anna replies softly, "Kay, is the policeman coming too?" Sighing, Tammy says loudly enough for him to hear, "Yeah, he's coming. Watch him for me while I get a shower, okay?" Smiling faintly, Anna nods in agreement. "Kay."
Visit BigWorldNetwork.com for more e-series samples, or sign up for a $3 a month subscription for full access to all written and audio e-series content, accessible from the website, mobile, or e-reader devices. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to Big World Network.